Now available on Kickstarter, John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this all-new Kickstarter exclusive John Haynes comic book. Put in your pledge and get the standard, variant, or retro covers of John Haynes at Death's Door and other great stretch goal rewards on Kickstarter today. In a previous video, I explained the reason why your Comicsgate is claiming young Rippa 5'9's success for themselves. And in that video, I detailed why your Comicsgate wanted to claim young Rippa's success, and it all ironically had to do with his politics. Now, your Comicsgate oftentimes goes on to say that they want to support non-woke comics and that they're against all of the identity politics that are in most mainstream comics. However, most people don't see the subtle politics transpiring around your Comicsgate and those social justice warriors who control the comic book industry. Now, to understand the subtle politics transpiring around black comic fans, you have to understand the institution of white supremacy. And when it comes down to the institution of white supremacy, they love to take both sides of the argument. This is a statement Neely Fuller Jr. made many years ago, and that Professor Black Truth oftentimes quotes in his videos, and I can see how your white supremacy is looking to take both sides of the argument as related to black comic fans, and black comic fans need to be made politically aware of what's going on here with young Rippa 5'9. Now, what's going on with young Rippa 5'9 is that many of the white comic skaters see that young Rippa's politics fit the narratives that they want to push. And because they saw him in a picture with Kyle Rittenhouse and supporting Kyle Rittenhouse, they believe that he is what I call a safe haven Negro, something I got from the brother of Logic and Common Sense. And what they see him being a safe haven Negro, they believe that your young Rippa will not go out here and challenge them politically. And because he won't challenge them politically, they believe that it's safe to go out here and support him. The same thing goes on as related to the left, as related to comic writers like your Ta-Nehisi Coates and people like your Christian Cooper, who used to work for Marvel Comics, because these black men won't go out here and challenge the left's social justice politics. They believe that this black person is a safe haven person, so that they can go out here and push their politics, so they trust this black person with this job because they believe that this person won't be a danger to them. And that was shown to us with your Christian Cooper, who, after being confronted by the Central Park Karen, Amy Cooper, who basically threatened his life by calling the police and telling those lies, your Christian Cooper didn't go out here and look to try to have this woman prosecuted for going out here and making that false 911 report. And that's all because your Christian Cooper was somebody who, again, is a safe haven for racists, and he's looking to give racists a pass for their egregious and criminal behaviors. And the same thing goes on with your young Rippa 5'9 on the right. They believe that your young Rippa will not go out here and challenge many of these racists on the right. So your Comicsgate believes that they can trust your young Rippa the same way your social justice warriors on the left believe they can trust people like your Christian Cooper or your Ta-Nehisi Coates. So they feel that these black men and black women who do this, they believe these are safe haven Negroes, and what these safe haven Negroes do is that they provide a safe haven for racists to continue participating in their insidious and passive aggressive behavior inside of the comic book industry. So when you're dealing with these white supremacists, they only want to go out here and support individuals who fit their political narratives, and will go out here and support their political viewpoints. And this is something I have again seen all throughout your black comic collecting groups in social media. These safe haven Negroes, they're the ones who will not go out here and challenge the individuals who are participating in racist behavior, and they give passes for these racists, and that's what makes these individuals extremely dangerous to the black comic collecting community. I ran into some of these individuals in Facebook groups, and these are the individuals who will go out here and make excuses for your white racists who are participating in their passive-aggressive racism, like they did when Marvel hired Daniel Kibblesmith to go out here and create the New Warriors relaunch. Your Daniel Kibblesmith was out here participating in active racism with the characters of Snowflake and Safe Space, passively giving you black characters, but aggressively going out here and emasculating the black man and masculinizing the black woman. But you couldn't call it out because you had all of these safe haven Negroes who are a part of the comic collecting community looking to give individuals like Daniel Kibblesmith a pass. And that's where we have a problem with a lot of the racism going on in the comic book industry. What happens is that whenever someone like myself calls out that racism, what they do is they trot out one of their, what I call buffer, what the late David Carroll called buffer Negroes, and they go out here, they get the buffer Negro, and they use him to say, oh, we're not racist, we're all about diversity and inclusion. And that shows because we went out here and got this black person to work at our company. However, the reason why they got that black person to work at Marvel or DC Comics is because this person's politics fall right in line with the white supremacists who run the company, and these individuals will sit here and make excuses for these white racists who are openly participating in open racism towards black people. And because these individuals sit there and say, yes, I'm all about diversity and inclusion, I'm a black person, and my politics fit either those as related to Comicsgate on the right or those social justice warriors on the left, we don't get a balanced picture of black people in most of the media in the comic book industry outside of that which is produced by independent creators. Now, many of the comics by independent creators, they have a completely different set of politics, and their politics, in many cases, is black empowerment. And that's something that those on the left and those on the right do not want to see inside of their comics. No, they don't want to see that in their comics because that does not fit their narrative. And yes, these people do talk about diversity and inclusion, but when you see their diversity and inclusion, it's all about pushing the same old stereotypes that I have seen personally ever since the late 1970s, and it's all about pushing their idea of what black is like and what they believe a black person is like. So you don't get a balanced and accurate picture of blackness, and you don't get to see a rich, diverse picture of the black experience. No, and that's all due to the fact that many of these people on the left and the right, they go out here and support the black people whose politics fit their narrative. So whenever you see a guy like, again, a young Rippa being supported by a lot of these people like in Comicsgate, or you see a black creator like a Ta-Nehisi Coates being supported by many at places like Marvel, there's a reason why that person is being supported on these platforms, and that reason has to do, again, with their politics and the fact that they will go out here and be the buffer blacks that will go out here and put up a wall as related to calling out the racism in the comic book industry and calling out many of the racist narratives. Many of these people, they believe that once they get a job, They don't need to go out here and have their own opinions. No, they go out here and they want to parrot the opinions of their comic book slave masters, and they want to go out here and agree just to try to get favor with many of the white men and white women who are a part of the comic book industry. So many of these people, they want to go out here and again, they want to agree with them in order to get that pass. And this is something that isn't really talked about in the comic book industry. And when I saw, again, your young Rippa 5'9" with your picture of Kyle Rittenhouse, that was all I needed to see to understand why he was getting all of that support. Because while just like those on the left were out here supporting guys like Ta-Nehisi Coates and your Christian Cooper, it's all because they have, again, the politics that follow the narratives that the white supremacists on the left and the right have. And again, black comic fans have to understand that you cannot take either side, because neither side is for you. Neither side is about trying to take control over the black image, because what these individuals want to do is give the image of the black man to the white supremacist so he can continue breathing brand new life into old stereotypes. And this is one of the things that runs counter to those who are a part of the who want to expand the black fantasy market, like myself, and take control over the black image, because taking control over the black image means that we cannot go out here and support the politics of the white left or the white right, because they're both two wings on the same dirty bird and two sides of the same bent coin, and are all about promoting the white supremacy that we continue to receive, where your black creators cannot get to work at mainstream publishers, because it's all about those mainstream publishers finding individuals whose politics fit their narrative. So what they're trying to do, again, is find black people, but and while they talk about, oh, we don't want politics in the comic book industry, we don't want people having these types of politics. No, they both have politics in them. Your Comicsgate has just as much politics as the social justice warriors, and black people have to understand that neither one of their politics benefits you. Some people will sit there and say, oh, you're bringing race into the discussion. Well, I have to bring race into the discussion because I'm aware of what's going on, and I'm aware of what's going on, and I see how both sides are playing black people, and I see how this can be detrimental to the growing black comic and fantasy market, because we have to get our politics on point as related to black empowerment, because black fantasy is supposed to empower our brothers and sisters to imagine a world where they see themselves first, and black fantasy, comics, and science fiction is supposed to be a world that empowers our brothers and sisters to see a world where they can be in the foreground and be the main focus of the story, and not be the background character in some white person's world and or some bootlick seeking validation from white people. No, when we do go out here and we're doing fantasy, it's supposed to be empowering to us. It's supposed to be something that opens up our imagination. It's supposed to be something that allows us to see a world where we have a place in it, and a world, I say, in some cases, where we see ourselves in control of things. Good black fantasy and good black science fiction, as I see it, is something that opens up people's imaginations and gets us to see the character of black people, and it gets us to start getting kids to imagine themselves in a world where they see themselves as the heroes of the story. That's what many people tell me about when they give their kids Isis and Eastham and John Haynes series books. They tell me that it has an impact on their children. It opens up black children's minds, and it gets them to start imagining themselves in a world where they can be the princess, a world where they can be the hero, a world where they can see the black person overcoming the obstacles, and an escape where they can see that the black person is not the first person killed in the story or the first person jobbed out to some villain. That's what happens in mainstream comics, and sadly that's what happens in the mainstream comic book industry, because those on the right and those on the left, they go out here and recruit their buffer blacks the same way that your buffer blacks are recruited for places like CNN, where you have people like Roland Martin and your Joy Reid and your Simone Sanders out here. They have the same type of buffer blacks, and again, the buffer black is meant to present representation as related to a symbolic way, and that person is just there to say that, oh, we include black people, but you don't really see this person having any sort of impact, because they're just there to be the token that's on display. And you have to understand that both the left and the right do this, and this is why it is important to support independent-owned black media, because independent-owned black media, like SJS Direct, doesn't make these kinds of compromises, and independent-owned black media is the place where you'll get the actual stories that give you a rich, diverse picture of the black experience. And it's independent-owned black media that will go out here and open up, again, your child's imagination, where they can see a world where a black person is seen in a balanced and humanized way. And again, you have to understand the subtle politics transpiring around you, because there's a reason why people would support on the right support a young Rippa 5'9", and reason why people on the left support a Ta-Nehisi Coates, and those reasons are not in the best interest of all of the black comic fans, black sci-fi fans, black fantasy fans. It's not in your best interest, because many of the stories on either side present the same argument, because again, white supremacy takes both sides of the argument, and the main reason why they take both sides of the argument is because they want to control the narrative as related to black people, because if you control the narrative as related to black people, you control the way a community thinks, and what they want us to do is think of ourselves as less than, think of ourselves as second best, and think of ourselves as being in the background of a white person's story instead of being the center focus of our own. Now, I currently have a Kickstarter for the first John Haynes comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, currently going. It has 17 days to go, and if you want to put in a pledge to get that first John Haynes comic, you can spend $5 to get the digital copy, or you can spend $15 and get a paper copy, and if you want it autographed, I will autograph that comic for you. And if you want to try out some of the books on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and books like Eternal Night and the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find all of those great titles on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find many of these titles on Smashwords, the iBook store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, E-Steam Horror of the Hyena Woman. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a wicked werewolf in this action-packed all-new E-Steam series adventure. Get E-Steam Horror of the Hyena Woman in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS Legacy. The sorority secrets of the goddess next door are revealed in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS Legacy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere.